Anyway, I am really excited to share some things that I use in my classroom. One of my rules for technology is that it has to enhance the lesson, but not like replace the lesson. A lot of us get caught up in the magicalness of technology. Like right now, everybody is in love with their Bitmoji classrooms. And one of the things that we need to be aware of is that, when we create this new technology, why are we creating it? And so when I choose to use things in my classroom, it only enhances what I already would have been doing. It just takes it to a little deeper level, and then also allows students to practice their digital skills, which, even though I'm a science teacher, one of our requirements is to hit digital skills. So I hit a lot of digital skills. All right, so if you would like to contact me ever, I love new followers on Twitter. I do post things from time to time, but I mostly learn from everybody else by going on Twitter, and that is at Nicole8482. Or if you're an Insta person, I do have an Instagram at Happy Middle Teacher. I heard myself echoing. That was weird. Okay, so today I'm going to be going over the items on the left side, and I may think of some things as we go through that I want to cover too. All right, so this is just a little bit about me. I have shared some of the information with you. One thing at my house, and I was talking earlier to somebody who's on the presentation, I have a crazy house. I have 2 kids, I have a husband, and I have 3 dogs, 3 fish, and a guinea pig. It is never calm at my house. So right now I'm actually presenting at my mother's house, which is very calm. All right. So today I'm going to start with CoSpaces. I am by no means an expert on everything that I'm sharing with you. I am in the learning process with some things. And one of the things that I used last year was CoSpaces. And I am really pretty good at inserting objects and making them move and things like that. However, the coding portion of it is not my area of specialty. It is an area that I'm working on, but what I have found are the kids are really good at it, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So I yeah, I have a classroom guinea pig. I'm sorry, I'm replying to a comment, and the guinea pig no longer is a classroom guinea pig because of, COVID, and he misses everybody. He is so sad by himself. He was so loved on all the time. All right, so I am going to show you a couple of things, and then we can actually go into CoSpaces and look at some examples, and you guys can ask any questions that you have. I will tell you that with CoSpaces, there is a limited amount of seats. It's 30. So if you are elementary, you are probably gold. If you are in middle school, you're going to either do one of 2 things. You're going to have your students work in groups, or you're going to have to purchase some kind of subscription with all of the money that we have in in education, right? Yay. Okay, but I have so far just used the 30 seats, and it has worked well for group work. The other thing that's really cool about CoSpaces is there's 2 pieces to it. It is you have your AR and you have your VR. So virtual reality, you walk into and you can look around at everything. AR is augmented reality. And so what that means for science, or other, you can use it in other contents, but in science, what that would mean is you would create a model of something, and then if you look, you can see these, they're called merge cubes, and you use the cube and you can actually view the 3D object that you have created. And this is a really great way to get students to share their information and their learning, and then allow them to teach, which is always my goal. All right, so I'm going to take you here. Okay, so if you go to CoSpaces, and also just so you know, at the top here, if you click that, it will take you to the website so that you can create your own account. Oh, hang on just a second. This little bar has popped down and I don't know how to make it go on. Sorry, y'all. Hang on. Okay. Okay. So anyway, over here we have a gallery. So there's not a ton, but there's quite a few that you can look at and get some ideas for things that you could do in your own classroom. So in this one here for science, somebody had created an eco-friendly house. Now I would add things to this. I would have students either label on the picture what's going on for energy transfers or types of energy, or I would have a worksheet or an online discussion or something like that where the students could discuss what they're seeing. And I would see this being used in an energy unit and in middle school. So if you look here, you can move it around. This is a very simple one. You can make these as simple or as complex as you want to. It's totally up to you and your students. But everything can move. You can, like, if I were to create this, you could have done stuff inside. So let's go back out. And these are pre-created ones. I'm just looking at some that other students have created across the world. So they even have language and literature. So spot the difference in zoo is probably not for middle school. Oh, that's nice. We have options of languages. So you can see here that you are in a zoo. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, well, anyway. All right, here we are. We're in the zoo. There's a lot.
I think we've lost Nicole for a second. We're going to give her a second for her internet to kick back in and come back and join us. Nicole, if you're having bandwidth issues, you may want to turn off your personal camera. Are you back, Nicole?
I don't know what just happened. My internet just like went down completely.
We can't hear you though.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
You're back though. We're glad you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what just happened. That was real freaky. Okay. Well, that explains. I think my internet just went out, because I'm presenting, so why wouldn't it, right? Okay. So anyway, I'm going to continue where I was. So anyway, last year I created a class and I created an assignment within the class, and the students would sign in using my class code. And then that way I can view all of the different assignments they do. So I had one called Introduce Yourself that I just use as an example. So like I said, with the regular one, you like without the membership, you can only create one assignment at a time, which is not a problem if you're working on one project. Not a big deal. So let's go into CoSpaces, and this is a CoSpace that I started. It is definitely not finished, do not judge, but I started it. So what you can see here is a background that was pre-built. I inserted an environment, okay? The part that I did on my own was the picture, and then I have different pieces here that are types of energy. You can zoom in and look at them. My kids really enjoyed this last year. And the nice thing about if you partner them, you'll have some strengths. Some of my kids were really good with the code, and some of my kids were like, I have no idea how to do coding. So I think it really is beneficial to partner them up, at least for the very first time that you use it. So on this screen, this is what a student would see when they come in. And there are a couple pieces here. Over here on this side, you guys have your scene, and you can add new scenes. And see, that gives you some choices, but of course, I've been doing the 360 images, but if you want to do a 3D environment, you can. And so you just have this blank screen here, okay? Now there is a library, and you have all these people and objects that you can add. So this really is, it's a limit. It's only a limit of your imagination what you want to do here. So any kind of theme will work. Now over here, there is a code that you can use, just like if you've ever used Scratch, it works almost identically to Scratch. Okay, so anyway, you can also upload pictures if you wanted to, which is how I got mine on there. And then you can also create images. So they give you lots of different options.
Thank you.
Okay, so I personally, if I have a student who's not good at coding, I'm just going to have them work with this actual screen and create whatever it is that I've asked them to create. Can you simulate grocery shopping and cooking? I don't see why you could not. Let's see, library. I don't know if there's any food, but you could upload pictures of food if you wanted to. You definitely can make the little, my new voice, this is the little person. You can make them do things. So if you look over here, you can tell it that you want to code. So using CodeBlocks. And then once you go over here, it'll give you some options. So see, now I can use my casual girl. If I want to add any more, are there enough screens open on here, by the way, guys? You getting overwhelmed yet? You can choose to have it allow you to change things in the code, but you have to go in and click here. So there are a ton of options here. This could even be, I know a lot of teachers are doing choice board type things because we're digital, and this could be a choice board option. You don't have to make every student do CoSpaces. You could just have it as part of your choice board. So I'm seeing somebody just asked about VR goggles. So if you want them to have VR goggles, you could if you were in class. Obviously, if they don't own VR goggles, they're not going to be able to view it in VR, but it's not really a big deal because the sets are so neat. Now, if you're doing augmented reality, you still can do this the same way. So see, they can move around the screen and look at it. You do not have to have goggles to go in and view what is going on. Does that answer your question, I hope? No problem. All right. Somebody said, is it an extension to Google? I don't believe so. I think CoSpaces is by itself. It's just kind of its own little entity. All right. So anyway, what I recommend is that you go in and you play with this. If you just will go through, there's really, I mean, nothing you can do wrong. If you mess it all up, you can just delete it. So don't be afraid. Go in, play. I mean, that's how I have figured out everything I've figured out, along with the help of my students, because they always know more than I do. So that is CoSpaces in and of itself. So if you're interested in that, I've left the link, and she said they'll post the PowerPoints later, and you'll be able to click on all of my links. All right. The other thing I'm just going to mention here real quick is merge cubes. You can get merge cubes and you could have a station that has 4 merge cubes. So one of the things that I try to do is make sure that whatever technology I'm using is something that is cost effective. So the cubes themselves, I believe, are $29. And you could have 4, and you can have stations. If you wanted one station where they show up and they're looking, all 4 people are looking at the cubes, you could do it that way. You could have a cube at different stations and have them doing activities with the cubes that are different at each station. So it's kind of up to you. It's kind of up to your funding for your classroom. They have a few free items through Merge, and the one that I played with the other day was frog. It was really cool. It was a dissection for a frog, and I did a video on it, which is on my Instagram. If you're curious, you can go check that out. But this is what it looks like in this picture right here. You'll hold the cube and you'll have your phone or technology, whatever it is. You do have to have technology for this. And I don't believe, I don't want to say, but I don't believe Chromebooks work for this. So you would have to have some kind of iPad or cell phone type of tablet or something like that. But what you do is you hold it up and you look at it and you can see the 3D object. It is so cool. Kids love it. It's really fun. I have linked to the website so that you can actually check those out. And they've got some videos, but this is what you see through your phone. So if I'm looking at my phone right now or my tablet, I am seeing the cube move around so you can actually see 3D. Like this one is the development of Earth. I'm not sure what that one was. Let's kind of look at that for a sec. Okay, I didn't think so, Pamela. This is the one. There are just so many cool ones. But there are only a few free ones. Okay, I'm gonna move on from Merge. All right, so this is something I just want to share with you guys. It is nothing like mind-blowing. It is just a piece of technology that I got really excited and geeked out about last year. So one of the things in my classroom is that obviously we have more students than we have me. And what I wanted to create was an atmosphere where students are my experts. And I have so many capable students, and so do you. And what happens is that it never gets tapped into. So I decided to create a tracking sheet where students, there's no grades, okay? Be clear, I would never put grades in here. What the students do is they have this unit, or maybe it's the week. I don't know how you want to arrange it. And what they do is as they complete assignments, they go in and they color in the box saying, I have finished static electricity FET. Now I'm moving on and I finished my foldable on electricity. What you see next is where they check in with me. So what I'll do is I usually have a couple of questions on each activity that will tell me if they understood it or not. So I'm not checking the entire assignment. I'm checking specific questions. And if they have successfully completed those questions, I go in, this is protected, only I can edit it, and I put my initials by it. What does that tell you? That tells you that as a student, I can go to Tom. There's never a kid named Tom anymore, but I'm just gonna go with Tom. That I can go to Tom and say, hey, I am struggling on this question with the FET. Could you please help me? Because Miss Routon is in the middle of a mini lesson, or Miss Routon is working with another student. It takes away that dependence on you as the teacher and allows for them to work more and collaborate more with their peers. And I love it because students, a lot of times when they explain things to other students, they do so much better of a job than I do. I get caught up in my big words and my big explanation. They're like, man, I just really wanted like a one sentence answer, like get over the long descriptions. And so what I saw was a whole lot more dependence. And the students, because they knew I was specifically checking these questions, what they would do is they would do a really nice job with those. So I didn't really care so much about the beginning questions where they're working through their thoughts. I wanted to see, could they take the information they learned and apply it in a situation? And this was my way of doing that. And I tell you what, my life was so much easier I think I did it the last 6 weeks before we went out on COVID. So I guess it was like January and February, so not quite 6 weeks, but game changer. So I highly recommend that you use this in your classroom of some management system. It doesn't have to be Google Sheets. It's just the most simple way that I came up with. Okay, Makey Makeys. Makey Makeys are fun. Okay, there are tons of ideas for Makey Makeys. You can Google it for any content area. In science, what I did is basically what's in that picture. I told the kids that they had to use a game that had already been created on Scratch, and then they had to create their own game. Oh my goodness, I just forgot what I was going to say. The handheld, oh my, a game controller. Oh my goodness, I just like totally forgot what they were called. So they had their game controller, but you know, the normal game controller, you're in your hands and you're just pushing the buttons. They had to come up with something that was completely different. Um, One of my students used their feet. They were using their feet and it got them active and they were having to move around to get it to do whatever the game was. So let me go ahead and show you this real quick. So I have linked a website to the Makey Makeys. They are not very expensive, so it's probably something that if you have it in your budget, you guys could probably purchase. Um, I would say the best would be to purchase 8. That way you can have groups of 8 working on one set, at least for the first year. And then if you love it, you can invest more. Or you just start with 1 and again go with that station method. Only have 1 station where they're working on something. Um, all right, so here what you're seeing is the pieces and parts. So you get this little board and you get a cord that extends to a Chromebook. It works on a Chromebook. I mean, I'm always excited when I find something that works on a Chromebook. Then you've got your cords here and you've got a ground. And basically what you're doing is making a simple circuit. One side of the circuit board looks like this. The other side is much more complex. So I would not start with that unless you have a student who's already really on top of it with circuitry. So they've got a lot of different videos on here. This one they're using pencil lead instead of actual buttons. This one is a specific type of Play-Doh that has, it conducts electricity, so you can actually plug these in and you can touch it. But here's the thing, it also works with regular Play-Doh as long as the Play-Doh is still damp. If you leave the Play-Doh out and it dries out, you're out of luck, it no longer works. And if you look through here, they're using like bananas and fruit. I mean, it's so fun. I have seen so many ideas. Seriously, if you just Google Makey Makey ideas for the classroom, you'll find all kinds of stuff. Okay, let me go back and see if you, okay. All right. This year I'm going to be using digital notebooks for science, and because I know that we're going to be virtual, I know that we're going to be in person, and I need to be ready to change wherever I am at. So I think this is one thing that I can take off my plate and not be stressed about will it work in class or not in class. So what I've done is I have linked you to my very favorite place to find things that didn't work. Well, that's no good. I guess I didn't link it. All right. Well, if you look over here on the side of my presentation, it says slidesmania.com. It's right here. That will be on the slides. So if you go in and you type in, if you are a person that loves to create things, you may not want to go here because you may get lost forever and ever in Neverland. If you're a Bitmoji person, you're going to definitely get lost in here because it's so much fun. Okay, so Slides Mania is completely free. This lady is amazing and she creates everything. I don't know how a person has time for a full-time job plus creating all these slides, but she does. And what I have found on here are several different amazing resources to use in your classroom this year. With us being digital, she's got some choice board and games. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I am so excited about these and I can't wait to use them. But they're all interactive Google Slides. So when you click something, it takes you to a different place in the PowerPoint, but it's already created. Such a time saver. I mean, there's just so many cool things she's created on here. All right, back to focus. Notebooks. All right, so digital notebooks. There are several options here that you can use. It's totally up to you what your style is. and she has set it up. So I chose this one because I just liked the normal looking digital notebook, but also, hang on just a minute. Let me All right, so this is the one I'm thinking I'm going to use this year. When you open it, you will have to make a copy of it because she has it saved as view only, just so you know. But this is the one I'm kind of thinking I'm going to use. These have different topic links over here. So if you click it, it'll take you to your topics. I love this. So organized. So for each unit, I'm going to have a specific tab. And then within the tabs, you can also create more tabs. So if they go to topic B and maybe you want them, you could insert a link to maybe their vocabulary, or maybe you want them to take some notes, or even better, you could have it where you share with other students and this could be their project notebook. There's so many options and you guys are really creative. So I know that you guys will come up with something amazing, but I highly recommend if you've not been on slidesmania.com, please check it out. Totally free. And there's like great stuff on here, not even just for education, but for my personal life, if I want to get organized, things like that. And I had to show you. But she's also got some pretty cool PowerPoint ideas too. And I see somebody on there is talking about Canva. I am pretty excited about Canva. I started playing with that a couple years ago. I made some posters on there, but now I notice they've got a whole lot of things that I can use as an educator. So definitely try out Canva. I love it. I love when we all meet together and we get all these ideas and we share them. It's so much more fun than just being in our little silos and hanging out and trying things with other people is more fun. All right, so that's my soapbox on the digital notebooks. Okay, the next thing I want to go over is called Nearpod. Have any of you guys used Nearpod? Is that like something that's going on across the districts, especially with our COVID-19 and needing to be digital? I hear some I love Nearpods. Yeah, Nearpod's pretty awesome. How many Pear Deck fans do I have here? Any Pear Deck fans? So there's two kind of similar things that you can use. You can use Nearpod or you can use Pear Deck. And I think it really comes down to your own preferences. Pear Deck is really cute. I really like how they have the little images and all that stuff, and it works great too. So just kind of check out both and kind of decide which one works best for you. Nearpod with Google Meet. I think so. Yeah, because you're just hitting present. Somebody said yes. Suzanne, thank you. I was pretty sure. I mean, Google Meet's just taking what's on your screen, so you should be able to do that with no problem. All right, now hopefully my link works. I like when things work. All right, so this is Nearpod. Now, there are 3 levels of subscriptions. I currently pay for gold out of my own pocket. It's $130 a year. It would be best. I'm trying to get out of the habit of purchasing my own things and making schools purchase them for me, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And with Nearpod, I just really needed that as a support for my classroom because in my classroom, I do a ton of either project-based lessons or differentiated instruction where students are working on all kinds of things. And like I needed a platform that they could do activities and not necessarily have to stop by my desk every time to go, okay, what's next? And Nearpod was my answer for this. But it also allows you to have complete lessons. Students can collaborate with you in the lesson. There's like boards where they can draw things. There are quizzes. I mean, there's just so much stuff. So let's go in to well, get here and get hopefully logged in. Okay, so right now I have several things in my library that I have used this year. And some of them are created by Nearpod, some of them are created by me, and some of them are like pieces and parts of all different lessons that I have put in here. Um, I think so. Suzanne is saying I usually create a student sheet with Nearpod. I love that idea, actually. I think that's really great. I think I'm going to add that to possibly my digital notebook for next year so they can keep track of everything. All right, so let's go with, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. So you have some options here. You can do live lesson, and now they've added live lesson plus Zoom, but I know like in my current district, we're not allowed to use Zoom, so that may not be helpful for some of you. But if you go with live lesson, what it will do is it will give you a code, and you can actually go to join.nearpod.com and you put in this code. Okay, you do not have to do that right now. I'm just showing you what goes on. Okay, so here's how one of the things that I did was a project this year for sound. If you've ever taught sound waves, you know that they're really abstract, but also that unit can be real dry. So I had to make something that would be really fun for them. And so they actually took their favorite artist and tried to create a concert experience that would make their artist pop. So basically, they were trying to get people to come to their auditorium that they created based on their specific artist. So they had to design the lighting, they had to design the sound, and they had to design the actual auditorium so that it would work best for the type of sound that their artist produces. And it was really fun and really hard, and they had a really good time with it. All right, so as we work through here, these are just examples. So this is the collaboration board, and the student can pop this up. You can arrange this however you want. You can let them share, or you can not let them share. I do want to say to Amy, who said cool lesson, I've taken some pieces offline and kind of adapted it to work for me. So this is not like completely my original thoughts. I don't want to take complete credit for it, but I did take some stuff. If you Google, oh, I can't remember what it was called. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. But I Googled around sound waves, and I think it was like project-based learning, and this came up, and I kind of adjusted it because it wasn't super user-friendly at the time. All right, so anyway, they can collaborate here. You can choose how they collaborate. If you are doing this as a self-paced lesson and you enable collaborate, they will be able to collaborate. So be aware of what type of students you work with. If there's students who you've known for the whole entire year and you trust them and you're good to go, you can open up the collaborator board. If you are a little nervous about what might get posted or things like that, then I would say maybe don't open your collaboration board. Instead, you could have this question, and maybe in the classroom somewhere, they could be adding sticky notes or writing on the whiteboard or something like that, just to kind of adapt it for self-paced. Yes, Lindsay, that would be really cool too, is to use fireworks and then adapt it to whoever their artist was. That would be really neat. Okay, so this is just different. I'm just going to go through this so you can see the different examples of items that you can have in a Nearpod, and there's more. These are not all of them, and I'll go to that next. So this is an option, because I have this in group lesson, that you can click and send the video to all devices. And then I have a video that they watched, and this video was great. It's one of my favorite videos, and I heard it for like, I love Pink Floyd. This song is great. Okay, so anyway, they could watch the video. They were able to see like how they used lighting and all that good stuff. Okay. And then they had to take the video and answer some questions. Now, I will tell you, we had spent quite a bit of time talking about amplitude, frequency, pitch, volume, and wavelength. This was not something that this lesson covered. And then I found also on Nearpod, they have some augmented reality items. And so I said, hey, take a look at this particular building, and I want you to think about why they designed it the way they did, knowing what we know about sound and how it travels. And this is just a good way to get them engaged and thinking. So that's an option. Yes, Suzanne, that is such a good point. You can go into, there's a couple of ways that you create this. You can create it on Nearpod, or if you want to, you can create it in Google Slides and you can have the add-on for Nearpod. These are just some more things I'm gonna go with. Now this year for handouts, it would all be online. Okay, I'm gonna go back out of this. Whoops. Okay, now what they were saying, let me show you in Google Slides. I can't remember if I have it on this one or not. No, I don't. But you just need, I did it, my add-ons on my teacher account. So it's real easy though. You just add Nearpod as your add-on, and then it gives you some options on the side here of things that you want to add into your slides. Or you can go into your library and right here you can create your own lesson in Nearpod. And here what you do is you just add slides and it gives you options. So I love that this incorporates almost everything that I use in my classroom because I'm a big tech nerd. I use FETs all the time. Anytime I can use a 3D image to really show them what I'm doing, that's amazing. There's just so many cool things like field trips. I love it. I'm such a Nearpod nerd. Okay, and then there's some activities that you can enter. So what I do is I try to have an activity after every piece of content to kind of help them show, or not help them, well, I guess help them too. Help them process what they've learned, but also this way I can kind of check and see if they're understanding what we're doing. Okay. So it really is that easy. It's not a hard thing to create. I can create lessons in probably under, well, transferring them. Okay, let me be clear. In like 10 minutes. It's not too bad. Let me check over here for my questions real quick. Anything else? So Hannah, the templates, you can go on to the Nearpod library and you can kind of search for anything that you want to check it out. As far as the template goes, I haven't published like my template, but making your own is not very difficult. And so I love the library, and you can go over here and you can actually select free. And there's a ton of free stuff on here. So we had something called Reach in my class, in my school that I was at. And that was kind of a time where we could pick out, either we could work with students who were struggling, or we could work with kids who we wanted to extend their learning. And so I kind of picked different focuses and worked on that with them. But there's so many cool things in here. And you can do quite a bit with the free account. So don't feel like you have to purchase a gold account to be able to use it. Okay. All right. Uh-oh. Ah. Okay, so I'm done a little early. So the reason I finished is so that I would have, one, I'd have time for anybody who had questions, but two, I thought it would be nice if you got some time to go in and play with some of the resources. I know I never have enough time. And so I thought while I was here, you could be doing that. And then also you can ask your peers, because it looks like, especially, let's see, Retta and Suzanne, they were adding all kinds of stuff about Nearpod. So it was really cool. So anyway, I would love to connect with anyone. I know I'm done really early and I feel really bad, but I am. And there's just so many things out there, but the most important thing is just please remember when you use technology that you're using it to enhance a lesson, not just because it's cool and pretty. I know that is so tempting for me too. All right, so I'm gonna hang out. Oh, there's the session evaluation. Don't forget to get it.
That's
Oh,
right.
thank you.
I'm going to jump in. If you will click on, I've just entered it into the chat, the session evaluation link. After you fill out that evaluation, you'll get your normal at the end of a Google form. Thanks for submitting. The link to the certificate is in that message. So fill out the evaluation and submit. And then on that confirmation page, you'll have a link to download and get your certificate for this training. Okay, if you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you so much, Nicole. This was a great session.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I did not think that I was going to get done early, so I kind of went a little fast on some of them. So I feel like I've jaunted out really quickly. But I don't know. I'm here if you have any questions. Or you can end the session, whatever you feel like is the best for our time. I don't care.
That's totally up to you. We can hang out for just a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions, they're welcome to unmute and ask, or they can ask in the chat.
Yeah, we can hang out. Let's just do for a couple minutes and see.
Okay.
This is a tech transfer. Let's see. The cube is $29.99. Makey. I don't want to tell you wrong. It's been a minute since I've looked up how much they are. So hang on. They're not much. Like nothing I use is super expensive because I'm a poor teacher like you guys. Okay. $14.95 for the Makeys. So that's not bad at all. I was actually thinking it was a little bit more than that. Google Cardboard. Yes, you could totally use Google Cardboard with the cubes. That's not a problem at all. You could use that with CoSpaces too. It wouldn't be a problem. I'm not sure what that says. The link didn't work in the last one. Which one was that? The Nearpod? So we use nearpod.com. And then there was makey.com. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Here, if you want to check this one out, it's really cool. Peerdeck.com. I believe we're going to post the presentations later. Is that correct, Amy? Okay.
Yes, if you have a bit.ly you want to share, you're welcome to do that. But yes, all of the presentations that have been recorded, as well as any session materials that you've submitted, we will have on both the KET Education YouTube page and the KET Multimedia Day website at the end of all of the sessions. So after Thursday's sessions, we'll get all of that uploaded on the site.
Okay. For SPED students, I would say Nearpod would be really great because you can differentiate it. You don't have to have just one lesson going, especially if you do it student paced. That way you could make sure that their needs are being met in each of the different lessons. They're asking for to post the long form of the link. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah,
I'm getting the long version now. Just a second.
Yeah, last year I did for my advanced students, my medium students, and then my really low students, I created different Nearpods. I also did that with choice boards just so that they were getting what they needed. And I also used Nearpod for after a test. If I couldn't go on because I wasn't going to cover that content again, what I would do is based on a student's score, I would look at whether they had mastered it or not. I don't know what that means. Somebody's asking to annotate my shared content. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe that's an accident. So anyway, so they were able to reteach themselves. But then, like, those advanced students, they get it the first time and they sit there, and you don't want them just to sit there. They could be doing amazing things. So what I would do is I would create lessons on Nearpod or other technology that I've discussed or created myself, that they could learn more about the topic that we covered, because we never get to go into enough depth with the time that we have each year. And the students really appreciated it. And I also found that most students loved working at their own pace. because what would happen is I had my little table in the middle of the room, and students would just kind of flock when they needed me and then go out when they didn't. And so those students who are lower, what I would find is I had tons of time to sit and work through things with them, and they made so much more progress. And they thanked me throughout the year. They were like, "This is great. I never have time to just sit with the teacher." And so it's really changed the game for how I am as a teacher in the classroom. Oh, all right. I think we're good, Amy. Thank you so much for being the host.
You're so
appreciate
welcome.
it.
We appreciate you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you for letting me present.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great day. Bye.